It's the final day of the month, and before we welcome August and everything it has in store, July actually had a few more surprises waiting for us. Hello friends, this is Moba. Today we're checking out 24 new must-play mobile games you probably need to try on Android and iOS. So first of all, this actually took a little over 2 years to come around, but Dungeons of Hinterberg finally landed on Android through Crunch. And I'd argue it might be like the strongest premium we've had in a while. Let's just forget about combat for a second. Dungeons of Hinterberg is regarded as a game because of its dungeons. The puzzles are very carefully thought out, every dungeon introduces some new ideas, and solving them is absolutely genuinely satisfying. If you've a Crunchyroll sub, and if you've been missing classic Zelda's sense of just basic discovery and a good action adventure, this absolutely deserves at least a try. Abyssal Soul finally landed on Android and iOS today, and yeah, we're pretty happy to report it's decent. I mean, not the best game when it comes to ads, but it's manageable. So look, it's one of those card roguelikes that actually brings something new to the table, we give credit to that. Like, instead of spending energy, every card is basically powered by sacrificing the cards behind it, which almost turns every hand into a little puzzle game. The mechanics work pretty fine on mobile, the dark fantasy art, the amount of build variety gives it some personality. Maybe if you're into games like Slay the Spire, this one's worth checking out at least. It's a free game. So going down to number 3, we've got Boca Jr Kitchen. I'm not even sure, I thought this game was available before, but apparently it's now available on Android and iOS through Netflix. And for those of you unfamiliar with it, I would argue regardless of it being a sort of a educational game at its core, it's the kind you can lose hours into at a time. There are basically no levels in this game, no ads, not even a right or a wrong way to play it. It's just a kitchen full of different ingredients where you can cook the weirdest meals imaginable and see how your guests react to it. So I don't know, if you've got a Netflix subscription and a few minutes to spare, this is an easy download. Also, if you've got a young chef in the house, this is an easy game to maybe inspire them.
They dropped in out of the sky and saved us!
Number 4, a quick update. Capcom has officially opened sign-ups for the 3rd closed beta for Monster Hunter Outlanders. Every new test makes this game looks more complete, with new monsters, hunters, more of the world just finally opened up now. Honestly, I'd argue this is shaping up to be probably the biggest mobile release ever. Like, from everything we've seen so far, it doesn't even feel like a watered-down spin-off. It genuinely feels like Monster Hunter rebuilt from the ground up for just basically phones. I don't know, if you've been waiting to finally try the game yourself, now is probably your best chance. Apex Dominus Rex here is basically the childhood dream of anyone who ever wanted to be like the T-Rex itself instead of running away from it. So yeah, it's a survival sim game. You're basically put into this surprisingly large prehistoric world, and survival matters obviously the most. You're gonna hunt for food, fight rival dinosaurs, grow stronger, slowly climb to the top of the food chain and become the apex. It's obviously not trying to reinvent the genre, but like for just less than 400 megabytes and an offline game, it really actually scratches the dinosaur survival itch surprisingly well. Free, we'll give it a solid 9 out of 10. Highway Heroes is legitimately one of those games that quietly sneaks up on you. I have tried more transportation sim games than I'd like to admit to it, and the good ones kind of make you always care about optimizing routes than actually driving the trucks. And that's basically the vibe here. It's all about expanding your fleets, making smart business decisions, watching your company slowly turn into a big empire. If you enjoy management games that reward planning instead of constant tapping, this one's at least worth a look.
Through seasonal competitions and special rewards.
Down to number 7, honorable mention almost, Lord 9 Infinite class has been almost blown up lately. And not because it's a MMO, this game's player-driven marketplace has already passed $15 million in trades in the first month, which is just wild. Beneath all of that, though, the reason the game's in the list is the game is just genuinely a pretty solid MMO, with flexible class buildings, some gorgeous visuals, and enough progression to keep hardcore grinders busy for months at least. Whether you are into the economy side or just want another big MMO to sink some time into, this one's definitely worth the grind. Why not? some of you might die. At number 8, on another hand, came out to PC and mobile earlier this week, and I would argue it's a pretty good game actually. The main reason is, let me just say, if you were rooting for a traditional auto battling game, it actually hits the spot. It's got multiplayer that offers a lot of variety, strategies, replayability, and a little depth as well. If you're the type of player that actually enjoys experimenting with different synergies when it comes to strategy games, it'll definitely hit that spot. In fact, it's one of the more addictive games you played on Android. It's not free though, but it's available on both stores, takes you $4.99.
The villagers have forgotten about her. Therefore,
So if you've actually been missing old school Harvest Moon magic, here's maybe a nice little surprise for you. Lost Valley and Skytree Village have both now landed on Android and iOS as full premium releases in just one package, bringing two of the series' classic 3DS adventures with improved touch controls and some new additions as well. So these are definitely just a couple of good old school farming sims, but that's also the appeal. Pretty slow pace, cozy, a lot of farming, fishing, relationships, plenty of Harvest Moon charm. If modern life sim games feel a little too busy and you cannot run both of these games through a emulator for free, or maybe you would like to support the developers, there's actually some pretty good nice throwbacks to maybe play on the go.
Go strong! Are you ready? Good!
Down to number 10, we've got Angry Chef World Tour, which actually feels like 3 different types of puzzle mobile games thrown into the same kitchen, and we're kind of forced to work together. Like 1 minute you're playing a match 3, another one you're playing Mojang, then you've got Solitaire while you're racing to finish food orders before the chef right there completely loses it. Pretty colorful game, pretty fast, surprisingly valid, sort of making it a valid pick if you're tired of just simple puzzle games that only have like one trick up their sleeves. Definitely a good time killer, even better, it's a free game. Coming to Android and iOS this August, Netflix Minigolf is probably one of the better ideas Netflix has actually come up with recently, where instead of playing on your phone, see, your phone becomes a controller while the game runs on your TV, turning it into a sort of a couch party game. The courses of the game are actually themed around Netflix shows like Stranger Things, Squid Game, whatever, and up to 4 players can actually jump in without needing extra hardwares and stuff. If you've got a Netflix subscription and some friends around, this actually looks like a pretty good blast. Treasure Hunter at number 12, I would argue is maybe the most relaxing game I've actually come across this whole year, where it's a survival sim game to begin with, but you're not fighting any monsters or racing against a timer. You're just wandering around a different forest, a village with a metal detector, uncovering relics and just bits of forgotten history. It sounds pretty simple, but that's also a lot of the appeal. The kind of game you throw in like when you want to switch your brain out for a bit and find out it's just way too addictive and probably already too late to install as well. Date A Live at number 13 is one of the better looking anime adaptations we've seen lately on mobile. And if you actually missed the old global version recently, maybe now's your chance. In fact, Date A Live Spirit Echo has been downloaded over 1 million times in less than a week. So the game is an idle RPG, but it doesn't lean on the idle mechanics. It actually mixes side-scrolling combat with the dating sim elements that the series is known for. So if you're already a Date A Live fan, this is an easy recommendation. If you're not, there's just enough action here to make it worth at least the try. Tree of Savior M Extreme, most of you know, has actually been around for quite a while, but it is now suddenly worth another look thanks to LD Cloud's brand new multiple cloud phones support. And if you're the kind of MMO player who loves running alternatives, farming resources, or just letting your character grind 24/7, this makes the whole experience ridiculously convenient now. And that's maybe the kind of quality of life upgrade that can breathe new life into an MMO that you've already played. It's a tactical game, pretty good, about 7 GB in total. It's a free game as well. Going down to number 15, we've got Lucky Thief, the kind of game I personally wish mobile got more often. So the game is a sort of a casual puzzle platformer where your tongue sort of doubles as a grappling hook, so getting through levels is all about momentum, timing, and figuring out the best routes to pick. It's almost got a very unique sense of humor, this game. Pretty good presentation as well, the kind of simple idea that stays fun from start to finish without overstaying its welcome. It's a free game, it's about 300 megabytes in size, it actually plays offline as well. On another hand, at number 16, we've got Ragnarok M Classic, which actually feels that Gravity developers finally remembered why people fell in love with Ragnarok in the first place. Meaning, instead of like piling on even more systems, this version goes like kind of back to the old school grind, you know, hunting rare drops, building your character, basically hanging out with your guildmates in Midgard. Better yet, it even trims away a lot of the usual mobile MMO frustration with things like offline farming and guaranteed refinements, finally. Probably, I don't know, maybe the fresh start you've been waiting for. Number 17, we've got Point Buy. Finally here, it's still one of the most original mobile games to play whenever you've got a few minutes to just spare. Point Buy, in fact, is made by the creators of Downwell. It's a vertical climbing game and one of those games that actually clicks within like seconds. The controls are ridiculously responsive, there's almost no downtime between mistakes, trying again, and before you even realize it, like you've been saying one more run for the last 20 minutes playing it. Pretty good game, it's free, about 200 megabytes in total. Solid 8 out of 10. Down to number 18, we've got Range Lords, which I wouldn't say it's your typical base building or sim game, since it mixes ranch management with some deep, grounded, modern, western settings where you're building your family's land while fending off anyone who's trying to take it from you. And then between developing the ranch, raising animals, hunting, and gunfights, it sort of feels like someone mashed a frontier sim together with a story-driven, almost strategy game. Definitely one of the more unusual mobile games this month, but it is free and just about 1 gigabyte in total. Number 19, we've got Akira. And this is an action, almost platform adventure that like we used to actually get all the time back in the day. Not gonna lie, I missed them a lot. So yeah, the story is you're playing as a jetpack dog, jumping from one obstacle to another one, and there's wide different settings, including Egyptian settings, Greeks, even Mayan mythology, and there's enough platforming and exploration to keep things very interesting all the way around. Pretty light game, it's definitely polished, and it's also a nice reminder that not all mobile games needed like a battle pass or hundreds of different currencies to be fun. It's a free game as well. Alright, so down to number 20, we've got Ward 13, which basically does nothing to reinvent the horror genre, but as a new developer's work, it actually really delivers. It's a horror adventure that sort of leans into classic mechanics, you know, creepy hospital, check. Flickering lights, all check. Abandoned places, puzzles, plenty of jump scares, check. It's a pretty straightforward first-person horror game that actually knows what kind of experience it's going for. I don't know, if you're in the mood for like an evening of exploring a haunted hospital with headphones on, it'll definitely get the job done. So how about this? Soul Knight Defense came out yesterday and it is basically Chili Room taking everything people already loved about Soul Knight and gave it just a basic tower defense twist. And it's a free game too. So yeah, you've got the same pixel art charm, the old heroes, their weapons, except now it's all about building defenses, trying different combos, and even recruit bosses that you defeat to fight on your side. If you're already a Soul Knight fan, this is like probably one of the easiest recommendations on the list. Bounce Madness, however, is one of those weird ideas that actually works better than most AAAs about 2 minutes playing it. So what it is basically, imagine a roguelike, a puzzle game and a pinball all had a baby. The result, I would say, would have been this. It looks pretty simple at first, but once you start like trying different ball builds and synergies, there's like a very surprising amount of strategy hiding underneath all the chaos. Definitely the kind of game that's way harder to put down than it has any right to be. So on another hand, at number 23, we've got Norway Bus Sim, which is I would argue it's a pretty nice change of pace from the usual city bus games we get almost every day, where instead of traffic, you're driving across mountain roads, fjords, some genuinely beautiful scenery. It's still very much a bus sim though, but the setting does a lot of the heavy lifting. So I don't know, if you already put hundreds of hours into the usual truck and bus simulator games, this almost feels like a refreshing road trip rather than, you know, more of just the same. Number 24, we've got Reigns Beyond, which is now finally escaping Apple Arcade, and we're glad to report that it's quite well ported to Android and iOS, well, basically today. So in case you missed it, here it's the same swipe-based formula that Zeus is known for, except this time you're managing an intergalactic rock band instead of a kingdom, and like one bad decision can send your like entire tour off the rails. So look, if you've never played a Reigns game before, this is probably the easiest strategy game to get into right now. Maybe just one downside is a paid game takes you $4.99. Crystal Saga Nova is actually a proper throwback to the browser MMO days. So right off the bat, if you've ever lost like way too many hours to the original Crystal Saga, this is basically that experience built for mobile with like polished controls, better visuals, all the builds, world bosses, wings, and the progression loop you'd expect. It doesn't try to reinvent the genre, it just leans into the old school MMO grind, and honestly there's some oddly comforting about that specific formula. Pretty good game actually. Spiral Stack at number 26 here is one of the arcade games that's probably dangerously easy to lose hours to once at a time. So the concept is pretty simple. You fly through these tunnels, you shatter basically everything in your path, dodge whatever's trying to stop you. But the speed then keeps ramping up until you're like completely locked in. It's got that old school sort of thumper energy that like great arcade games used to nail, and with games like this, I would argue that's basically all you really need. Pretty good game, it's actually free. And finally at number 26 we've got Skate Rider. So mobile skateboarding games are sort of rare these days, so it's always nice to see a new one that actually focuses on nailing tricks mechanics instead of just stuffing the screen with different gimmicks. And maybe if you've been missing that old school arcade skateboarding vibe, this one's actually worth it. It's about chasing high scores, combos, basically, you know, challenging your friends to beat your best run so you can beat theirs. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's all I've got for you today. I really hope you enjoyed. I will see you again tomorrow. Ciao.